All right, folks, each month as a part of their Financial Literacy in Schools project, Learn, Grow, Invest Limited visits schools to speak on financial literacy. So we asked Chief Executive Officer and Coach Jermaine McDonald to come in and do a quick session on teaching children about money. Morning, friend.
Morning.
Now, the first thing Jermaine said that his son is 2 years old and he has an investment account.
Yes,
eh?
yes.
So him got to the bank and said, I want to open an account.
Well, not quite. So my wife went with him, got all the requirements, because once you're younger than 18, you'll need
I was teasing you that he went by himself, but why did you want to do that at 2 years old?
Because we want to lay a foundation for him early. So what we do now is, as every month we put something towards that account.
Yeah.
So he has a stock portfolio now. He has savings, so you'd call that his emergency fund. So
at 2 years old.
At 2 years old.
It says spend, save, invest, and give. Let's start with spend. By the way, what age are we talking about here? What age? Your son is 2, so forget
yes.
your son, but what age are you talking about?
As early as they're able to understand. And you'll know based on your child, but I've seen videos of children being 5 or 6 being able to explain certain concepts about investing and money.
Spend.
So money, let me just start there. Money is a tool, right? So helping kids to understand that it's a tool, just like they would use a hammer, a cup, anything to write with, it's something that we need to use, right? So spending is something that we have to do with money. The problem is how the money is spent is usually directed by what we value. So what we value will determine how we spend it. So when we help kids to understand that how they spend their money is a lot about what they believe here and what they believe here and think here, then it will help guide their spending.
I don't get that. So you said what they value. Explain
Yes.
that a little bit more. So if my son wants money to spend on something.
Yes, so it could be that, let's say he's a teenager and he wants to spend on a comic book.
Okay.
He would probably spend his time and resources and effort towards owning more comic books.
Because that's what he
values.
Okay,
Yeah.
understand. Save, which is kind of simple.
So it's simple. It's one of the things that we're probably most familiar with. That's what we're told to do. But saving is important to a point. It's not enough to bring us wealth, but it's extremely important.
When you say that, because as a young man, I suspect if my mom gave me $10 and told me, well, I'll tell you this, when I went abroad and I got my first job, my mom says, no matter how much you get, at least 10%, put in the bank.
Yes.
With my first check, I spent every single dollar deliberately. Come say my first check, this me I get and not saving nothing.
Yes.
And I spent every single cent. So as a young person, and you will give your son $10 and say, put 5 in the bank. I say, no, daddy, that's it. I want to spend the 10. So how do you encourage that? How do you encourage a young person to save every time they get something?
Well, 5 may be too much. It's important to have them build a habit with something that they can manage, because remember, they're thinking about the things that they don't have at that age. So start small. Start with, if it's $10, start with $1 or start with $2. So they'll build up the habit, right? Remember though, saving is a part of it. Saving we need for emergencies, the car breaks down, or when we need to spend on something unplanned. Savings are great for that.
Yeah, you already said that your child has an account, but when you say save to a young man who gets his lunch money, $10, are you saying that he must start a bank account or have a little piggy bank where he put in him like $10 or what?
Well, so actually for savings for children, a bank account would be good. We would say any dedicated savings account, because the average savings account is going to be small in terms of interest rates. A good way is also dividend stocks, because dividends are paid each year, so they'll be able to get something more than the 1% that the bank gives you.
Invest.
Yeah, so invest is the probably most important piece to learn at an early age. So what we say to children is,
probably the most difficult.
Probably the most difficult as well. But what we do is we say, imagine a seed that's planted. You plant that seed, maybe 10 years, 15 years, it starts to bear fruit, but the tree remains. So 2 things we teach them. The fruit is dividends, and then once you get the dividends from the tree is still there. So the tree is your initial investment that has gotten greater. So you don't, that tree, when you look outside, it's always there.
Yep.
So we teach them those two things to help them to appreciate that you can get income from investing and you can get capital appreciation.
Go back to your
investing.
son. What's his name?
Jabari.
All right, go back to Jabari. What if when he gets to 15 years old, he has $10,000 in the bank and he said, Daddy, I want 5,000 out of it. What would you say?
It's his decision.
At 15?
Yes.
At 15?
Yes. So we'll talk to him about value, right? What are you going to be spending that money on? Is it worth it for you? Because at the same time, we have to teach him to appreciate the consequences of his decision. So if I don't give him the money, then I may seem too controlling. And then the minute he gets the money, he spends it all, not just $5,000.
But isn't that, just before we get to the last one, isn't that defeating the purpose of what you're trying to teach him?
At some point, we have to allow them to make their own decisions.
At
though.
15?
I think 15 is a reasonable age as it relates to money. We're not talking just general money. He needs to understand.
Because you're still in charge until he's about 18,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you still wouldn't tell him, leave the money, don't
I wouldn't
touch
tell
it.
him no. Because
And it's your money. But it's your money.
it's his money.
But is you put it in for him.
But it's his money.
Final one says give.
Yes. So giving is very important, right? So we encourage children to build up the habit of giving as well. Give to those who are less fortunate than we are. Give to those who, and we teach to give in two ways. Give with money and give with time. Because sometimes there are persons who don't need money. What they need is a friend, what they need is counsel, what they need is support. So giving is extremely important as well.
Just one son, one child?
Yes.
How old do you think Jabari would be before he understands everything you just said? Because at 2 years old, I know him to understand, right? Or he might understand a little one.
So right now, he understands whenever he sees money around the house, it goes into his saving plan. No matter where it is in the house, he picks it up and he wants to put it in his saving plan. So he understands that from about 6 months ago.
Whether it's his money or not?
Yeah, whether it is his money. It's going into a savings plan.
Jabari, don't touch my money.
He's building habits, right? And that's the thing with children. They build habits. So anything that we reinforce, they will continue to do.
I'm impressed. Fantastic. Heal up Jabari for me.
Yes, I will.
And the missus. All right, coming up after the break. By the way, thank you so much, Jermaine McDonald, Chief Executive Officer and Coach of Learn, Grow, Invest Limited. And coming up for updates on a call for updates on the status of the Child Protection and Family Service Agency. Stay with us, please.